Regular meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is now 6:31. Please stand and join Councilmember Hernandez for the flag salute.
Hand to heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For everybody.
All right. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Gama,
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Here.
Councilmember Perez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Temp Lopez,
Here.
and Mayor McQueen Lejeune.
Here. And I'm going to be doing a lot of talking tonight, but it's my turn to do the inspiration. So it's like, okay, great. So good evening again, everyone. It's good to see you all here back into the City Hall, City Council meeting. As we come back together after the Thanksgiving holiday, I really want to just take a moment to speak directly to our residents of our wonderful city. For many of you, this past week was a time to gather with loved ones, enjoy a meal, reflect on gifts, whether that's your health, your basic needs being met, or new opportunities, or to express gratitude. We are so glad that you are here. We recognize not everyone celebrates Thanksgiving, and we honor the diverse traditions, histories, and perspectives that make our city stronger. No matter how you spent these past few days, I hope you found moments of peace, connection, and renewal. This is a time of the year that often reminds us of what truly, truly matters. Supporting one another, showing compassion, and building a community where all people feel seen, valued, and included. As we move into the remainder of our year, I encourage each of us to carry forward the spirit of gratitude and generosity. Check in on one another, your neighbor, your friends, your family. Lend a hand to someone in need. Celebrate the richness of our city's many cultures and continue working together to ensure our community is safe, welcoming, and full of opportunity for every resident. That said, I'm wishing you all the warmth, the wellness, and the hope as we enter the holiday season. So thank you for coming out again tonight. Okay, now we're going to move to public comments. Do we have any public comments not pertaining to our items on our agenda?
Madam Mayor, we have received written comments which were provided to the council prior to the meeting, posted to the city's website, and placed in the agenda packet binder in front of the council chambers for the public to view. We also have in-person public comment from Dawood Mustafa Ali.
Great. And comments will be 3 minutes tonight.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Temp, and council members. I am here to complain about vehicles parking in front of fire hydrants. And it's like, it's really, it's terrible. I live on C Street between Panoma and 2nd, and the corner of Pleasant Valley and 2nd. They are constantly parking in front of fire hydrants. And they know that they can do it at night because they know that they will move it before parking enforcement starts in the mornings. So I mentioned to the chief about, the situation. He said that he's going to address it. This is the second time I've come to the council and complained about something in our community, and I commend you on your fast and swift action. There was one more item that the palm trees in front of the motel on Pleasant Valley and Ventura Road, there's 11 palm trees, and the branches were just hanging, and many times they were falling. And that's, I'm 77 years old. I walk to the post office a lot of times, and the kids from the elementary school walk that route. And so I'm happy to say I wrote a letter, and I'm happy to say that within about a week or 8 days, those palm trees' limbs were trimmed. So I know that when we see something and we say something, we get results. So Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I
Yes, go
could.
ahead.
So it sounds like Mr. Ali already spoke to the right person, but we'll follow up with our parking and code teams on that issue.
Next speaker, we have Greg Ross, and then followed by him, it's going to be Luis Mendez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and esteemed council members. Thank you for listening, and I want to say that this body is more reactive in a positive way for our city than anything I've ever encountered. And I thank you for all your hard work and dedication. I'm here to talk about noise pollution from my favorite topic, the port. It's their world and we just live in it. When we moved here, the noise was not to the extent that it is now. We have many members of our community that have lived there for more than a decade. And when we moved in, there wasn't the level of business being conducted at the port that there is today. So much so that in front of you, I hope you see that on Sunday, November 23rd, Monday, okay, it's a work day. Sunday, 9:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., the backup alarms from their heavy equipment. And I can actually prove it. That was Sunday. I won't bore you with the noise, but we experience it frequently. Thankfully, the ports listened, and it doesn't happen in the middle of the night anymore. But it's still their world, and we just live in it. And they don't really respect our city like they should. And I commend you for standing up to the port when you have your meetings. Please, sorry about that. Please know that we're behind you 100%. The roads, the truckers are just, Wainimi Road's a mess, especially going eastbound. But I commend all your hard work, and thank you for listening, and happy December.
Thank you.
Luis Mendez, followed by Zach Believa.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city manager, staff, and residents. I'm speaking today in regards to the Clean Power Alliance transition. I want to first start by saying that I expressed my concern when the city held public hearings on transitioning to the new power company. My concerns were the opt-out process and administration of the program rollout. The city was not given a choice of an opt-in option or opt-out, and the CPA should not be forcing people to opt out. I want to note that I am a clean, renewable energy advocate that would help anything that would help combat climate change and the rising sea level, since we are here at Coastal City. I'm also in support of the union jobs and things that the CPA does create for our community. But most important was when we were presented with it, there was supposed to be a lot of talk of local oversight. From what I understand, there are members on our city council that sit on the board of governors or advisory board, and this is why I'm speaking here today. My experience, along with my father's with CPA, was less than acceptable when we called to opt out. My father was told that he could not opt out for 6 months because he had solar panels. I called back to opt out on his behalf and was told that CPA was chosen by the city of Port Hueneme and we had to choose one of their 3 tiers. I corrected the operator and advised that we had the option to stay with Southern California Edison, and that was the purpose of my call. I asked to opt out and was advised I had to wait 6 months because the Southern California Edison contracts with solar panels was not up yet. I advised I didn't want to call back in 6 months. I wanted to opt out now. I was advised I had no choice but to wait. After contacting one of our city council members, who in turn spoke with the city manager about my issue, I was told I could not opt out until April of 2026. He explained he had reached out to Clean Power Alliance and that I was being given wrong information. So when I called back again to opt out, I was told I could not opt again until May 2026. I explained that I was told the incorrect information, and I wanted to speak to a manager. After 10 minutes on hold and after telling them that my father was elderly, early onset dementia, he would not remember to call in 6 months and wanted to avoid any penalties that may come at that time. So I know my time is limited. I do sit on the Ventura County Area Agency Advisory Council for Port Hueneme, and these are the type of things that we look out for to protect our elderly residents, and it is concerning to me. These practices are very salesy and somewhat predatory. So with CPA here today, I just want to know what strategies they have in place to protect consumers from being given wrong information, what the role of the advisory board is for fair business practices to consumers, and what are the consumers' recourses when they are misled by customer service operators with Clean Power Alliance. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Mayor, if I may, I know Mr. Mendez just mentioned it, but Clean Power Alliance is the second presentation on tonight's agenda, and I know from previewing the presentation that there was a slide that talks about the ability to opt out, so we can likely get more information from the Clean Power Alliance CEO at that time.
Great, thank you.
Zach Believa?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Happy holidays. Just here to quickly set the record straight that, of course, our commissioners, port leaders are well trained by our legal department in the Brown Act to take compliance with that in public meetings and those responsibilities very seriously. But also on another, perhaps more important note, I'm sure many of you saw today that the Department of Transportation released their notice of funding opportunity, making $25 million in grant funding available. So it seems like a really great perhaps opportunity to collaborate between the two entities. Of course, we know from our previous grant writing experience and submitting successful grants that it can be a very expensive process, up to $40,000 to have a compelling competitive grant, but we also know that there's some money available between the two entities. So I know that my boss, our CEO, will be reaching out to Mr. Vega to kind of evaluate and explore those opportunities, perhaps for road improvements or some other necessary projects. So with that, I'll thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, and once again, happy holidays.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, there are no more public comments.
Thank you so much. We'll now move on to the agenda approval. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
Move to approve. Second.
Great. Madam Clerk, please take roll.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move to, let's say, does any members have a conflict of interest to disclose for any of the agenda items on the agenda tonight? No? Great. Okay, we'll now recess to the council meeting and call to order the Port Hueneme Housing Authority regular meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. It is now 6:44. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Gama?
Here.
Member Hernandez?
Here.
Member Perez?
Here.
Vice Chair Lopez?
Here.
And Chair McQueen-Lejean. And please let the record reflect that Member Brown is absent.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll now hear public comments. Are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Great. Housing Authority, we'll move on to the Housing Authority consent calendar. Is there any item that needs to be pulled on tonight to discuss further? Go ahead.
I did have an item on the consent calendar. I just want to discuss if,
What number is it?
3.
Do you have just a question, or you want to have a discussion?
I have a question that,
Might lead to discussion?
yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and.
Move to approve items 1 and 2.
Great, thank you.
All those in favor? Oh, sorry.
Second.
Is there a second? Great. Go ahead.
All
Yes.
those in favor?
Hold on.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we'll take up questions for item number 3.
Yeah, so when does Port Hueneme Housing Inc. Plan to take on the disbursements of all housing-related charges? Is that in the mix, Gabby?
Yeah, and Gabby and I spoke. I'll let Gabby add to this, but the Hueneme Housing Inc., our next meeting is December 9th, I believe. And so for the first time, Hueneme Housing Inc., and that's their second meeting. So for the first time, there will be disbursements for Hueneme Housing Inc. I think as we're rolling this out, we're sort of figuring out when things are going to move over and what things can move over. So at this time, I don't know that we have an answer for the timeline of if or even if at any point in the near future we'll be able to sort of do away with the housing authority completely. I think that's something we're still looking at, but I'll let Gabby add to that.
So as far as the Mar Vista Apartments, all disbursements for November will come to that board in the December meeting. The agenda will be published on Thursday for that meeting. You will continue to see housing authority-related charges for the Willowbrook Apartments, Willowbrook duplexes, until we do close that transaction. At that point, you will no longer see public housing for Mar Vista or Willowbrook, but you will continue to see Section 8 related transactions coming through the board.
So Section 8 would be the only,
That is correct.
and is there any, will the RAD conversion ever take on Section 8?
There is nothing currently that is being offered by the government in order to push that over to a nonprofit.
And to add to that, right, and Gabby is our expert, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but because current RAD conversion applies to our public housing, right?
That is correct.
Not the Section 8 program.
Not the Section 8 program.
So that
So they're
may
two
change in the
different-
future. Yeah.
Two different
programs.
entities. Got it.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, so is there a motion and a second to approve item number 3?
Move to approve 3?
Second.
Great. Madam Clerk?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we don't have any business items, Housing Authority business items. Are there any authority members have a report or comments they'd like to make at this time? If not, we're going to adjourn the Port Hueneme Housing Authority regular meeting and reconvene to the City Council regular meeting. The time is now 6:48. Okay, and so we'll move to presentation item number, letter A, which is the State of the City 2025 presentation, which I'll present. Can I get some water?
You too. You do a lot of talking tonight.
Okay. Great, so good evening, everyone, again. I'm going to be presenting tonight the state of the city, and so just so excited to share with you what we have been able to do this year as a body. So I'm Martha McQueen Lejean, and I've had the honor of serving as your mayor for this past year. It's a privilege to be here tonight and share the story of our year, a story written by every resident, volunteer, and partner who makes this city such a special place to call home. Each year, the State of the City gives us a chance to reflect, to look at how far we've come and where we're headed together. I want to begin by thanking my fellow council members for their leadership and collaboration and shared dedication to serving our residents. So I am pleased to announce them today or introduce them today. We have our Mayor Pro Tem, Jess Lopez, City Council Member Stephen Gama, Council Member Laura Hernandez, and Council Member Misty Perez. To our City Manager, James Vega, our department heads, and every member of our city team, thank you. Your hard work keeps Port Hueneme moving forward, one project and one service at a time. So I'm going to start with safeguarding our beaches. Few things define Port Hueneme more than its beaches, or its beach. Last year, due to federal and state complications, our beach dredging project came up short. Our city team, in partnership with the Port of Hueneme, the U.S. Navy, and Channel Islands Harbor, came together to protect our shoreline and advocate to prioritize this project. These efforts resulted in a rare mid-cycle dredge, which is currently placing sand on our beach and ensuring our shoreline remains open, safe, and ready for generations to come. While work will continue for the next few weeks, these efforts are essential to rebuilding our beach and protecting our coast from future erosion. Once complete, visitors will return to a revitalized shoreline designed for recreation, beauty, and long-term resilience. To make the beach even more welcoming, this year we also added new ocean view swings and additional fire pits, creating more places for families and friends to relax and connect. Just beyond the shore, another transformation has come to life, the Bubbling Springs Park Revitalization Project. This multi-year effort has been one of the largest projects in city history. Our community has always known what a treasure Bubbling Springs is, but now the entire region can see thanks to these efforts. Today, Bubbling Springs is a showcase of what community vision and persistence can achieve. It features the city's first ever dog parks, an inclusive playground, shaded picnic areas, fitness zones, and walking paths designed for accessibility and enjoyment. The new baseball and t-ball fields with upgraded lighting and snack bar have already become a point of pride for our Little League families. This multi-million-dollar project represents years of collaboration and commitment. From concept to ribbon cutting, it reflects the heart of Port Hueneme, a city that invests in space where people come together. Next, we'll talk a little bit about our community celebrations and traditions. 2025 was filled with moments that brought us closer as neighbors and friends. From the Sea Splash Color Dash 5K to the Egg Extravaganza, from movies in the park to coastal cleanup days, every event reminds us how much joy and pride our community shares. The Hueneme Beach Festival returned this July with 2 days of live music, local vendors, beach soccer, and sunshine, drawing thousands of residents and visitors who makes this tradition unforgettable each year. This year, Memorial Day ceremony at Hueneme Pier was especially meaningful. It featured the second annual Paddle Out tribute led by the Port Hueneme Lifeguards, a moving way to honor our heroes and remember those who gave everything for our freedom. In the fall, the fourth annual Touch a Truck event delighted families and kids, and our spooktacular Halloween celebration filled Miranda Park with creativity, color, and laughter. This year's Veterans Day celebration was particularly meaningful as our community joined us in appreciating the service of our veterans. And as always, we're closing the year with the senior holiday luncheon, the tree lighting ceremony, traditions that make Port Hueneme feel like home. And let's not forget Santa's tour of the city. These celebrations aren't just events, they're reflections of our values: inclusion, connection, and joy. Community connection and engagement. In addition to all the great community events mentioned, we also held events focused on community engagement. Our Coffee with Our City events invited residents to visit the city leaders, to get to know them, ask questions, and share ideas in an open conversation. The Port Hueneme Police Department hosted Coffee with the Cop, strengthening relationships between officers, residents, through personal dialogue. We also continue to encourage community involvement through surveys, town halls, and community forums, from short-term rental discussions to parking improvements, ensuring that residents' voices guide our work. For those who participated in these events, thank you for working with us this year. For those who didn't, we hope to see you in our next one. Since its opening in July of 2024, the Port Hueneme Historical Museum has continued to serve as an active community resource. The museum successfully launched its Sunday Fun Day series. If you haven't participated, you want to do that, and hosted several well-attended speaker series. Volunteers continue to staff the museum on weekends and dedicate countless hours to cataloging and preserving the museum's collection. And we welcome residents to stop by and explore everything the museum has to offer. Next, we have our public safety and service. Public safety remains at our highest priorities. The Port Hueneme Police Department have made significant strides in addressing reckless driving, a top concern across the community. Their continued enforcement and visibility are helping move our city towards safer streets for everyone. The department also hosted National Night Out at City Hall, a community celebration that brought neighbors and officers together for an evening of connection, food, music, and safety education. Events like this help strengthen trust between residents and law enforcement, building relationships that make our community stronger and safer. This year also brought the introduction of K9 Gator, our new non-apprehension drug detection dog. Gator will join Giorgio in rounding out our K9 program, providing officers with tools to address drugs and weapons in our community. Made possible through the generous community donation from REACH, K9 Gator will soon become an invaluable part of the department and is already a community favorite. Our traffic division, including our motorcycle officers, continue to do outstanding work and remain strong focus area for our department. Drones are increasingly being utilized by the Port Hueneme Police Department to enhance service. They support investigations, improve situational awareness, and have provided aerial photos and videos featured in this presentation, including images of Bubbling Springs Park, ongoing dredging at Hueneme Beach, and the Hueneme Beach Festival. We are also proud to share that the new Port Hueneme Police Department Dispatch Communication Center is now fully operational. With improved technology and enhanced communication capabilities, this upgraded center allows our team to respond to calls more efficiently and deliver exceptional service to the community. It represents our own ongoing commitment to keeping Port Hueneme safe, connected, and supported. And public safety extends beyond the neighborhoods into the coastal waters. Our lifeguards closed another outstanding season, performing more than 50 rescues, 1,700 preventive actions, and dozens of medical assistance, ensuring our beach remains one of the safest in Ventura County. Our junior lifeguard program also celebrated its 38th year, welcoming 183 participants. The program offered water safety instructions, ecology lessons, friendly competitions, and excursions, all designed to teach teamwork, confidence, and respect for the ocean. Next, we have our public works infrastructure. Our public works department continues to strengthen the foundation of our city. This year marked the completion of the Ventura Road Sewer Replacement Project. This project was critical to repairing portions of the sewer that impact almost our entire city and is a major infrastructure upgrade, ensuring reliable wastewater service for years to come. We also advanced our annual crosswalk upgrade program, transitioning to durable thermoplastic ladder-style striping near schools. The new markings are brighter, longer lasting, and designed to keep students and pedestrians safer. These projects may happen quietly, but their impact is felt every day in smoother streets, safer routes, and dependable systems that serve everyone. Emergency preparedness and resilience. Preparedness is key to community resilience. Through coordinated efforts with the County of Ventura, we've been working to ensure our city is ready for any emergency. This includes planning for disaster shelter, operations, and collaborating on storm preparedness measures. Our Public Works team has supported the county's efforts to clear the Channel Islands flood control channel and has been distributing sandbags to help residents prepare for winter rains. These efforts, combined with our ongoing public outreach and education, demonstrate that Port Hueneme is a city that plans ahead and protects its people. Partnerships and collaboration. Partnerships are at the core of what makes our city thrive. And we continue to work to strengthen relationships with our local and county partners. The partnership with the Port brought meaningful benefits through the Community Benefit Fund, supporting events like Sea Splash Color Dash, funding the Rady Pruder Library mural, and providing scholarships to local students. We're also proud of the continued collaboration with the Naval Base Ventura County, and we're honored this year to continue working with Commanding Officer Captain Daniel W. Brown and his team on projects that improve shared infrastructure and strengthen the connection between the base and our community. Building on that shared spirit of service, the City Council formed the Veterans Advisory Ad Hoc Committee to explore how we can best honor and support those who have served. The committee brings together community members with military experience to develop recommendations for the potential Veterans Commission and expands local veteran resources. The Veteran Advisory Ad Hoc Committee will continue to work in 2026. We also continue to partner with the Surf Rider Foundation Ventura chapter, which has begun the Hueneme Beach Park Dune Restoration Project. This volunteer-led effort plans to restore approximately 2.5 acres of coastal dune habitat, remove invasive plants, plant native species, and enhance coastal resilience. Our partnership with the County of Ventura remains vital. From flood control to storm preparation, coordination to emergency planning and resource sharing. Together, we are creating a safer, stronger Port Hueneme and a safer, stronger Ventura County. Economic development and looking ahead. Looking ahead, the City of Port Hueneme continues to focus on making the city a welcoming place for our business partners and entrepreneurs. This year, the city team supported the efforts of Sprouts Farmers Market, who has announced their intention to open a location in Port Hueneme at Oliveira Plaza. City staff has continued working with this company and key partners to help bring this long-awaited grocery store to life, expanding access to healthy food and creating new local jobs. Along with the Channel Islands Harbor project known as Carl's Project, which was approved by the County and Coastal Commission this year. These projects will be an important part of revitalizing a key area in the city over the next couple of years. The city has also continued to focus on right-sizing its cannabis program in response to the increased competition in Ventura and Oxnard. And the city works to streamline its program, reduce fees, and ensure that these businesses have the ability to compete. As we move into 2026, we'll continue advancing work on short-term rental regulations, economic development, and neighborhood engagement. We'll also keep investing in sustainability, safety, and spaces that bring people together and make our community an even more attractive place to do business. And my closing reflections. It has been my honor and privilege to serve as mayor over this last year. From our beaches and parks to our neighborhoods and businesses, Port Hueneme shines because of the people who call it home. Thank you to our residents, our city team, and our partners for making 2025 a year of connection, progress, and pride. Together, we are shaping a future that is bright, that is resilient, and that is full of hope and promise. So thank you. I guess I have to hold on just a minute. Okay. So now we're going to move to our second presentation. We're going to have, I'd just like to welcome the Clean Power Alliance CEO, Ted Bardacki. Okay. Okay, great. To the podium and to give us an update. So over to you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Thank you for the opportunity. We're getting close to winding up enrollment activities, and so I wanted to take the opportunity to come and talk to you about what's going on. There's a place in here where I will address the questions and comments that were made, explain to you what's going on. And frankly offer an apology. So just want to talk a little bit about overview of CPA. For many of you, this will be a refresher, but we want to put it in there so it's in the public record, so folks who are either watching at home or here in the audience or go on to look elsewhere on your website have the information. So we are a publicly owned electricity provider. We're a joint powers authority. We provide the electrons, and Edison continues to deliver the electrons. Folks who are in our service continue to get that single monthly bill. Their folks are automatically enrolled, but they have the opportunity to opt out. It's not an added fee, it just replaces the previous charge that Edison was providing for the actual electrons. So we've now separated, for folks who are our customers, we've separated the provision of the electrons from the delivery of those electrons. And we've got lots of different ways of explaining it, but I like to say we are the folks who are providing those electrons. Edison is the folks who are delivering it. Before, Edison was responsible for generating and for the delivery. So we've split it apart, and we think that offers a good choice for folks. Again, refresher, we've got over 1 million customer accounts across LA and Ventura counties. One update for you all since I was last here is that 2 new cities have joined or have declared their intention to join with service starting in 2027. They are Cudahy in Southeast LA County and Fillmore here in Ventura County. That Fillmore decision is important because that means we will serve all communities in Ventura, both the unincorporated parts of the county as well as all incorporated cities with that change coming in 2027. The other thing I'll note is just last week our credit rating was upgraded from an A- to an A, showing both strong financial management, strong governance, good risk management, but also importantly S&P, which rates us, noted that our high level of renewables is a risk mitigant against both climate change as well as government state of California regulations, that we're ahead of the game is actually seen as a credit positive. Just a few bits of other recent news. We expect our overall energy portfolio to be over 70% renewable energy in 2025. That's 30 percentage points higher than Edison and almost double the amount of required by state law, so we are ahead of the game there. We're really hitting our stride in terms of developing renewable energy and energy storage at the local, regional, and western level. So we've got 8 rooftop solar projects on logistics centers, owned by Prologis, that are up, and several more under development. We're bringing to the board later this week some unique projects here in Ventura County called agrivoltaics, where high water use crops are replaced with low water use crops and shade friendly, and then the solar panels are put over. So we don't take agriculture out of production, but we also have both renewable energy production as well as continued agricultural production in those areas. Those are mostly out in the Saticoy and outside of the Fillmore area of unincorporated LA County. We just last month, we began receiving energy from the largest renewable energy project ever built in the United States, larger than the Hoover Dam, where we are the anchor tenant. And importantly, all of our renewable energy projects are very low risk at the actions that the current federal administration has taken around tax credits. Again, being early, we still are tax credit eligible and don't see a huge impact to our basic requirements of supplying reliable, renewable energy to our customers from those federal action changes. 19 of our 38 communities are participating in the Energized Communities program, which provides $250,000 grants to the cities. You are not one of the 19 yet because we're just, you're just eligible beginning last month or in October, but we hope to work with your staff to bring forward one of those options that we have. We're also installing 11 clean energy backup power systems on municipal facilities owned by our our communities. So there's police stations, emergency operations centers, public works facilities, those sorts of places that serve the communities and need to stay up and running in times of power outages. Again, we're assessing round 2 projects and would look forward to hearing about those opportunities here in your communities. A couple of other notes. We are working very hard on workforce development. We graduated the first cohorts of folks in pre-apprenticeship. So these are 10-week boot camps to bring in folks into the union trades through apprenticeship programs. We've got those stood up in LA County, particularly focused on women in one case and folks coming out of the criminal justice system or emancipating from foster youth into the building trades. We're hoping with Ventura County Workforce Development Board to stand up a similar type program here in Ventura County in the coming months. And I mentioned the credit rating upgrade. So now on to some specifics of enrollments. Just this week, the 4th of 4 notices arrived to customers or prospective customers, including bill comparisons, information on how to opt out. Your city has done very well in using our toolkit to communicate with customers, and we've definitely gotten the official word out. We've also been at a number of community events, including the Beach Festival, the Banana Festival. We've been at Hueneme Bay Community. I know our board rep, Councilmember Hernandez, to me she's Director Hernandez, has accompanied us at a number of those events along the way. Reminder that there are 3 options. One is a money-saving option, that's Lean Power. The option that you all chose as your default, the parity rate, which provides a higher level of renewable energy at no additional cost, and the 100% green power. We've seen customers, and I've got some data here, we've seen customers mostly stick with the clean power option, but some have been opting down and taking that money-saving option. Very few have been opting up. And some have been opting out. This is kind of where this is across our service territory. Customers in Port Hueneme generally have a lower average monthly bill than this, but this just sort of gives you a sense of, frankly, what I think is a pretty small differential between those, what a Lean Power, Clean Power, and 100% Green Power customer is paying. But the point here is that we've held those bill comparisons constant. There's been a lot of changes to electricity rates on Edison's side over the last couple of months, and there will be more. And we've been adjusting along the way to make sure that we've been able to be clear about where your percentage bill comparisons are. That will change in July when we now harmonize our comparisons across all the 38 communities. But we really wanted to hold those comparisons constant throughout the multiple Edison rate changes. So here we are in where we are in terms of enrollment actions. We have about almost 4% opt-out rate. That means 96% of eligible customers have stayed. This will grow a little bit more. As you can see, every time we send out a notice, or every time people gets a bill. Sometimes that's the first time that people really start paying attention, is when they get those. And so we'll see a little bit of spike with this most recent outreach, and then as people see their bills. But I imagine we'll see a few more dozen at this point, and we'll probably settle in around 4.5% opt-outs. I think that we're pretty low in terms of people who are choosing lien, and I would encourage you all to continue to talk up that option, as well as offering the option to opt out to anyone who's not happy with it. But that lien power option is something that it's a little bit of savings, but it is a savings. They could do that at any time, and it will kick in at their next meter read date. I'll note here in Port Hueneme, we've seen a lot of people taking advantage of the 2 automatic options that we have, which is doing through voice activated opt-outs or on our website. Not a lot of people are comparatively going to the customer service call center. I wanted to address the solar, and first of all, I'm sorry for the confusion and conflicting information. It's not what we aspire to, especially with someone who shares a lot of the values that we have, and Joe Cabral, who's here, will take down your information and make sure that you don't have to call back if you want to opt out. But let me explain why this happens. We specifically enroll our solar customers, or offer up enrollment for our solar customers, on a rolling monthly basis over a 12-month period, because the contract with Edison is on a monthly basis. And we don't want to interrupt somebody's annual true-up with solar, and because then they could actually lose money, and we absolutely don't want to do that. So that's our first thing. We can't actually process an enrollment or an opt-out with Edison until 60 days before that enrollment time takes place. So we can't give a confirmation number, an opt-out confirmation number, and so that's the origin of some of this conflicting information that your resident got. And again, I apologize for that. We will make sure that you don't have to call back again. But that's the origin of it, and there's still about 350 eligible customers who will be getting notices and more information in the mail as they get closer and closer to that enrollment time. I'm not going to read all of this. It's a dense slide. I just want to note that there has been and will continue to be rate volatility on Edison's side that we are automatically adjusting to keep that comparison intact. So in October, Edison raised generation rates and delivery rates. So we don't have any control over those delivery rates, but we matched, and we did raise our rates for here in Port Hueneme to maintain those comparisons. In November, you'll start to see it on your bill. There's something called a base services charge, which goes equally to all customers across all investor-owned utilities in California. It's lower for low-income people. It's higher for standard customers, and there's an adjustment to the delivery rates to compensate. But again, this hasn't impacted our comparisons. In January, Edison's rates are going to go, generation rates are going to go down, and we are going to match that decrease, again, to keep those comparisons the same. I think a lot of folks, part of my philosophy is that, and talking to lots and lots of folks, is folks don't really care about their rates, they care about their bills. and we've really focused on making sure that those bill comparisons stay the same over this time. Last couple of things just to mention, our programs. I mentioned the 2 programs that the city is eligible for. These are other programs that our regular customers have available now that they are Clean Power Alliance customers. One of our newest programs is Instant AC Savings. So this is for folks who are low-income customers. We'll give them a $300 point of sale coupon at Home Depot or Lowe's for an efficient window air conditioner. This is more of a resiliency and heat issue as it gets hotter and hotter. Summers are getting longer and longer. We're trying to help people stay cool and stay safe. Another one that I think is very important here is our sun storage rebate, which is folks who want to either put a battery into their existing solar system, or if they're getting solar and want to add a battery, we're providing up to $2,250 rebates on top of what the state provides. Again, that's helps us manage the system, the grid, but it also helps folks have backup power and save on their electricity bills. There's a number of others up there, but we look forward to seeing more and more of your customers, and you'll start to see us advertising here more on those. Here's a bunch of resources and where folks can go to take action. And I'd be happy to take questions and comments at this time.
Great. Any questions? Hold on just a second. We'll start this out. Councilmember.
Yes, so some of the rates you were showing about is that a general overpopulation of how people are opting in, or does that reflect Huenemi's? Do you have information
Oh,
about?
yeah, if you go, keep going. That is specific to Port Hueneme.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So yeah, so you know, our average opt-out rate across our entire service territory is about 7%. So 93% of eligible customers have stuck with CPA, and this is now over many years. So you're a little lower than average and higher. You have a higher participation rate or a lower opt-out rate, but we'll still see that grow, and I imagine it'll settle out or within a couple of percentage points of our system average. Mm-hmm.
So I'm understanding that the opt-out anytime is for real.
Opt-out anytime is for real, yes.
Okay. Could you explain the larger than the Hoover Dam comment?
Oh, yeah, sure. So it's a 3,000 megawatt wind farm in central New Mexico. It's very, very windy there. And it provides a lot of electricity at night, which is great because it complements our solar. Hoover Dam is approximately 500, 600 megawatts when there's enough water behind it. And so this is, several times larger than that in terms of electricity capacity.
Then what's the lifespan of the wind farm?
Well, so a turbine is, these are the latest generations of turbines. They're, each turbine is about 3.5 megawatts. We have a 20-year contract on that facility, and I would expect that they would be changing out turbines beyond any individual one that fails, but on a more mass scale, sometime after that 20-year contract expires.
Then you talked about backup for police stations and disaster. Could you explain that a little bit? Is that a generator or? Yeah,
so what it is it's solar plus a battery backup, so that even, and what we do is we manage that battery so that there's always enough to provide a certain number of hours of backup without having to fire up a backup generator. We've seen one of our cities that is doing this program, we haven't installed it yet, but when they lost power in a public safety power shutoff situation, they went to fire up their generator. It hadn't been well enough maintained. It failed. This is to help avoid that kind of situation.
You mentioned you don't have a control of a lot or something to that effect, but so you have control of
I mentioned that in terms of rates. So we have control over our generation rates, the rates for the electrons. We don't have control over what Edison charges for delivery, and they charge that for delivery for all customers equally. Those are decided by the CPUC. That is those charges, which we don't have control over, unfortunately are about 2/3 of the bill. They range between 60 and 65% of the bill. Our charges, the generation charges, and it's same if a customer's getting electricity from Edison as well, is about 1/3 of the bill.
And you increase your energy supply mainly through solar, is that what I understood?
So we have solar, wind, geothermal. We're big buyers of geothermal. We get hydro, and then we have contracts with several natural gas plants for the backup power in case the renewables don't provide enough.
Okay, I don't have any other questions, but I do have a comment at some point.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. So you talked about true up,
Mm-hmm.
and so customers with solar panels, so their enrollment date is all going to be different, correct?
That's correct.
So in that particular case, he probably has a true up date that was.
Yeah, I heard April or May or something like that, and it will happen throughout the year, yes.
Got it.
Yep.
So is CPA advising customers with solar panels on when their true up date is and when they're actually going to switch over?
Yeah, we are sending out, as those enrollment dates get closer, we are sending out the required 4 notices specifically to solar. If you're not if your true up date is not until the spring, that specific solar message hasn't gotten there because we want to do it. We want to inform people when they can then go and take action. We want to try to minimize the number of folks who are trying to call to opt out or change their rates when we can't actually physically do it yet. So they will start to see those.
So an example,
communications.
if a customer got their solar panels in, say, September,
Mm-hmm.
and it was approved by SCE, their true up date won't be till the following September, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, got it. So with a lot of the rebates being canceled by the current administration, is CPA still going to offer? I heard you mention that.
Yeah,
I want to make sure the
so-
residents are aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the benefits of CPA, and this is no different than many other special funds, we get no tax dollars. The only way we support our operations is with the rates that we charge our customers and that they pay for electricity service. So all of those programs that you saw are funded with internal resources, with the exception of one, which is funded by the California Public Utilities Commission with cap and trade revenue. So none of those programs are at risk from the federal administration. However, we had designed the level of those rebates to stack with the federal rebates that were available and tax credit incentives that were available, such that maybe a customer could cover half of their battery with the federal incentives. So one of the things that we have to do and now engage with our board about is how much can we take on to backfill the loss of federal dollars to continue to hit a particular threshold of how much are we covering. We can't do it all, otherwise we'd have to raise rates to a level that would not be competitive, and so we're going to have to be very strategic about it. My hunch is that we will see some customer demand for these programs fall because they're not able to get the same kind of incentives from the federal government. So that's kind of how it played. The programs are at risk. The customer uptake is somewhat at risk.
Okay, so last question. I know the current administration calls renewable energies unreliable energy under their new bill. What big projects, if any, were canceled specifically here in California with CPA?
Yeah, so we've had no projects canceled. Because we were, this wasn't why we did it. We didn't expect what was happening federally, but mostly because we have very, very, very high customer demand for renewables. We were signing lots and lots of contracts very early, while all of the tax credits were available. We were also very early movers into battery energy storage to provide that reliability component. So none of our projects are at risk. Even the wind project are at risk of losing their tax credits and therefore having the developers come back to us for price increases. We have 2 unbuilt battery projects where there may be some concerns about that, but we are well procured in that space, even if those projects were canceled.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation.
Yep.
Great. So I guess I'll just ask, based on the question that we've have asked you, is there anything that has popped up for you that you think you should share with us?
Oh, yeah. I think that, we have enrolled a million customers, so we've seen this happen. I would say that the experience here in Port Hueneme has been fairly typical for what we see across the service territory in terms of number of opt-outs. I would say that the folks who are choosing, it's slow in terms of the folks who are choosing the opt-down, the cheapest rate. We see higher movement over time to that opt-down. And so we've been, subtly changing some of our marketing to talk less and less about opt-out and more about the range of options without obscuring the way to opt out. But I think we want to make sure that people understand that lower rate is available to them, because that's what I see in the data.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, go right ahead. If you have a comment, go ahead.
Whoever thought up this program is brilliant. It really is, because forcing people to opt out, imagine if you did it the other way, forcing people to opt in, you might have a 4% opt-in threshold, if you understand what I'm saying. So, and it all sounds so good, it really does. But I'm still kind of on the fence as to the long term, if this really is going to benefit over the long term. And so what can you provide us in terms of, where are we going to be 15 years from now when we look back and go, remember when we did that CPA thing?
Yeah.
Where are you going to be in 15 years?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. I think there's a couple of things that have been really important for me in terms of thinking about what the long-term future of the organization is. One is a relentless focus on cost, because our number one risk is getting out of whack competitively and losing our customers. And so I know our director has seen the incredible investments we've made in risk management, in sort of proactively looking at how to maintain that competitiveness, including use of prepay bonds and other things. So I think that's the first thing. The second is there are other CCAs, not going to name names, that rely more on a consultant model, an outsourcing model of getting some of their core services, whether that's energy procurement or other things, from consultants. We do not do that. All of our core operations are handled by CPA staff, with the exception of the call center, which is, at least it's a domestically LA-based call center. So I think that's been one of my things, because I attended once the 75th anniversary of the Metropolitan Water District. Love them or hate them. I worked for the city of LA at the time, and I was very impressed that they had a 75-year anniversary, and that's always been like in my head to go. I want my grandkids to go to a 75th anniversary of Clean Power Alliance, and trying to have that long-term view. I mean, I can talk about individual things about how we may see this in 15 years, but know that I really don't want to have anyone on the board, anyone who founded this, any customer go 15 years from now, God, that was a total disaster or a mistake.
Have you had the opportunity to see year after year opt-outs? Like if we got 4% this year and then another 4% next year and then another 4%, is that how it works out, or does it just stop at that?
It never stops, but we also get new customers. When somebody moves out of the city and someone else moves in and they sign up for electricity service, we get new customers. So it kind of balances out the opt-outs we get with new customers who come in. And so we've been about 93% participation rate across the service territory for 5 or 6 years now. Mm-hmm.
Great. So, you have a question?
Comment.
Really quick. This is a presentation, so we don't want to spend too
Yeah,
much.
so I just want to make sure everybody's aware that SCE is still handles your delivery, the poles, the infrastructure, reads your meter, sends your bill, responds to your power outages. That doesn't change. CPA provides the generation, the purchasing, and this is where everybody gets confused. And I think what's really good about this program is it gives you additional options that you did not have. If you want lean power and you want a 1% decrease on your electricity bill, CPA does have that option to go to a lean power. So to me, the inconvenience is if you just want to opt out because you want to opt out. That's the inconvenience. And so in order for us to enroll Port Hueneme to CPA, it was the all or nothing. And can you explain the all or nothing, please?
That is the state law. We don't have the option to option that. And that was a state law back in 2002. So we didn't offer that option to you all because it was not an option to give.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And responding to our
And
questions.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to this consent calendar, which will be enacted in one motion unless a council member has a request to remove an item. Is there a request to remove any of the items from the consent calendar? If not, is there a motion and a second?
Move approval of items 4 and 5 of the consent calendar.
Second?
Great. Madam Clerk?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to business item number 6. Will staff please present the report to the 2026 City Council meeting schedule?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And so this item and the item that follows it are the two items, thank you, that are, it's sort of hard to believe that we're already at these items, because we're starting the end of the year sort of review of some end of year things and preparing for next year, which it's hard to believe that we're already at that point. And so there will be a couple items on tonight's agenda related to preparing for 2026, and then a couple of items on next week's agenda, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks from now agenda as well, that are related to those types of items. So the first, relatively simple, when we wanted to get this set, both for public awareness and transparency, is the 2026 City Council meeting schedule. Just a good practice each year to try to set the meeting calendar early, and so that the public is aware of what dates we are having meetings, and if they're interested in topics, what dates they should plan to be available and able to attend. There's a couple of things we build into these calendars. Here on the screen, you can see what we're proposing for this year. The council has the ability to obviously modify this before approving it. But we built a couple things into the calendar. One is that the holidays that are on Mondays that land on council meeting Mondays, we typically move those council meetings to Tuesdays. So for this year, that's the Martin Luther King Day on January 19th. President's Day would move to February 17th. And then in September, Labor Day would move the meeting to September 8th. And so those are proposed to be rescheduled due to a holiday. Second is that each year we typically cancel a couple of meetings in the summer to give the council, public, and staff ability to catch up and get work on some projects over the summer or get a little break. And so this year we had tried something a little different. We proposed so that we'd have a meeting each month and we wouldn't have too large of a gap. We had proposed doing the cancellation of the first meeting of July and the first meeting of August. There's always some reason why everybody will say, I wish we had done it this way or that way or what have you. But I think generally that worked. So we were proposing doing that again, but the council has that choice. In the past, we've looked at just canceling like 1 month's meetings like July or August. So that would be an option, but we proposed the first of each of July and August to be canceled for summer recess. And then the last item, and we've done this both ways in the past, so it's why I wanted to highlight it last, is in some years we've canceled the first meeting of the year when it's close to New Year's Day with the thought that the public is likely traveling, and rather than having people choose between either coming to a council meeting or canceling their holiday vacation, we had canceled that meeting at some points in the past. This year we held it, so it's been something that we haven't been consistent with. So we proposed canceling it. I think this year it was further out from January 1st. This year it's a little closer to January 1st, but that's proposed to be canceled, but that's the council's choice. So with that, almost all other dates as shown here would just continue with the first and third Mondays of the month. So relatively few changes this year. So we're proposing, this is the 2026 City Council meeting schedule, but the council can make any modifications before approving it. Once it's approved, we start the process of posting and making the public and others aware of our meeting schedule for the following year. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Great. Are there any questions for City Manager? Any questions?
I'd like to move to approve.
If no questions, we can move to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thanks.
I should have asked, was there any public comments?
There were no public comments.
Perfect, thank you. We'll move to item number 7, the 2026 City Council presentation schedule. Will staff please present the report?
Thank you. Similarly, with that schedule we proposed, and works well because thank you. We built that schedule in with this schedule, thank you. But we started this last year, and I think it worked, and I think generally worked in most ways. So we were recommending doing this again, which is that last year we brought forward a presentation schedule of items that the council would want to ensure are scheduled throughout the year for presentations at council meetings. And so this list is similar to last year in that the council essentially is asked to review it and identify if there's any additional presentations that are desired, with that caveat that There are other presentations that come along each year. I think as an example, the Clean Power Alliance presentation we just had wasn't something we had built into the schedule, but with us joining, we understood that it was good to provide an annual update, so we were able to coordinate that with the Clean Power Alliance. So it won't catch absolutely everything, but the idea was trying to make sure that we catch the priority items that the council wants to make sure that we include, and that one of our goals was just to sort of balance those so that we have a couple, 2 to 3 each meeting. So we have, time for both the presentations and then for the business this process last year. This year, we really started with this current year's list. So there's not many I would say, I don't know that there's any major changes. I think we built in everything from this year. But if throughout this year, if any council members noticed that there were items that were missed in the past, this would be an opportunity to add those items. So we have the list up, and we can answer any questions about it or explain or walk through anything. But we recommend that council move forward with approving a presentation schedule, and that way, similarly, we'll begin to notify the parties that are related to each of these to start putting these on their calendars.
Great. Are there any questions? Any questions? Hold on, Councilmember Kama.
Mother Language Day proclamation. What? Can you explain that one? It's drawing a blank.
We did it this year. I'm drawing a little bit of a blank too.
It was my request. It was requested by the.
Is Matthew Vestudo, right?
Correct.
Yeah, who's the Matthew Vestudo is the tribal chair for the Chumash Tribal Council, and I believe at the end of last year, being 2024, I think that the council had invited him to a meeting, and he spoke about Mother Language Day being important, and so the council added that item as a proclamation.
Okay. And I thought it was Mother's Day at first glance. I was like, but which,
I mean,
do we have a Mother's Day proclamation? Might be good. So if an organization, and I do know of an organization that wants to come and do a presentation, do they have to go through a council member to get on an agenda, or can they contact, how would, a really good organization, like, for example, the Owens Valley Career Development Center wants to come and do a presentation on the services
So generally, I would say the answer it should be that it should come through the council to get approved on this schedule.
But what if
one caveat we have is that for like emergency items or, typically for us, it's more, I was going to say staff has the ability to approve some items, but typically those are things like the county wants to come present on a new county ordinance that's going to impact our residents or, something like that. So it's really, for us, we're sort of like inter-organizational, inter-agency. And that's similar to like why we've become members of Clean Power Alliance, and we knew Clean Power Alliance does an annual report. So we added that. So I would say, without knowing anything else, that request sounds like it would be appropriate for the council to discuss now. Or it could be a future request to the council, but it would be one through council.
Just to follow up
Yeah.
on his question, so given what you just said, what would be the process? Because I've got underlined here the request for future agenda items, that it's going to follow a similar process if
Yes.
somebody wanted to add something.
Yeah, so let's say we get into March and something happens that we don't anticipate, and one council member becomes aware of it. It could be requested as a future agenda item request. Hey, every city around us is recognizing this day this year, and it's something we need to, or I'd like to ask the council to consider. So it could be proposed through a future agenda item request, and then it would be up to the council to approve it being on a future agenda.
But what if
being added to the list?
What if the organization is unfamiliar with the council? There's an organization that's providing vital services to our community, and they want to come do a presentation. Currently, their option is to do a public comment, 3 minutes.
That's what I was going to say. Then they can come give a public comment and ask the council to consider it.
Okay. So So you could do your public comment saying for more additional information, we're available for a presentation if, okay, thank you.
I did have a question also, another question.
Okay, so just a question for our city manager. City manager, you said that there are some items that you can approve. Can you give us an example of what those items might be?
Yeah, I would say generally it's other agencies that impact our residents. So I'll give an example. I think this year, and actually, well, 2 years ago, but now it's on the list, was, the port gives an annual state of the port. So we came to council and said, can we add that to the list? 211 is another group that we had made sure we added to the list. Other county services, those types of things. And so really it's like where there's another agency that's providing services to our residents that we want to make sure that our residents are aware of. Probably the one other category would be like our own internal like employee type things. Like if we have an employee win like an award that we want to recognize, then we would schedule that. So that's really what we try to limit the staff-initiated presentations to.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Lawler.
Yeah, I was just curious, by the way, thank you for the State of the City address. And I've, over the years, noticed that many of the cities here, at least in Ventura County, do their State of the City closer to September. And I don't know why. So I was wondering if you knew why we chose December and why we don't do it earlier in the year. It's not a complaint, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I would say, I think there's probably, if there were a month that the average city chooses to do its state of the city, and it's probably September, although everybody's a little bit all over the board. But I think September is more than others. And so my guess is that it's probably chosen because of just the expectation that more people are probably going to be, December's a month where there's not as much public participation typically, right? Because it's just people tend to start their holiday travel. Even this week, knowing we're not at the Christmas holidays yet, but Thanksgiving was last week, so just that factor. So moving that up would be something that we could do. I think for us, aiming it in December was partially because in the past it worked well with, or the last couple of years it worked well with sort of being like the outgoing mayor's presentation on what got accomplished that year before the next meeting where we do the outgoing mayor and the election of the next mayor. So that was sort of the thought process, but it could be moved up. It's just that's how it's worked out in the past.
So this does have some flexibility built into it if
Yes.
something comes up mid-year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think especially as timing goes, we stayed on pace for most of these, but there were items, even just something where like, let's say, I was trying to find an item on here, but there were items like with like emergency preparedness as an example, where the EOC asked us to give them a couple more months before they present. So we didn't like say this is your date or else you don't get to present, So there is flexibility. The intent is that if somebody asks for a specific date, that we work with them as much as we can. So.
Mayor, I have a
Thank
comment
you.
on that.
Yes, go right
I
ahead.
think this actually got started, if I recall, there was some years where we weren't doing this as a regular schedule. And I recall that former Mayor Martinez, he asked for it that month, and we just stuck to that date.
Yeah,
That might have been the year we
Yeah.
started.
And I would wonder if it has anything to do with fiscal year,
Right.
the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
And I think he just had a preference and wanted to do it because he was leaving and it wasn't actually scheduled for him.
Yeah.
And they kind of hurried and scrambled and got one together, and we just kind of kept it that date.
it's definitely changed over the years.
Okay, so are you all with your presentation
so
complete?
that's
Okay,
it, yeah.
any questions for city manager as it relates to this list? All right, do we have any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Great, is there a motion and a second?
Motion to approve?
Move to approve. Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. We'll move to item number 8, which is amendment to the Heroes History and Heritage Policy. Will staff please present the report?
Yes, and I'll hand it over to our Deputy City Manager, Charles Peretz, is going to give a presentation as he worked with the Citizens Advisory Commission on looking at this Heroes policy, and so he will walk us through it.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, members of the public, city staff. So item number 8 is the opportunity to review proposed changes to the city's Heroes History Heritage Policy, specifically the section pertaining to the Hueneme Hero Award. So that policy that was just referenced includes a section for the Hueneme Hero Annual Award, which provides the opportunity to recognize individuals and/or groups that make significant contributions to our community. On June 16th of this year, the council approved nominations for the Hueneme Hero Award for 2025. That included 2 individuals and 1 local organization. As part of its approval, the council suggested that staff take a look at and propose modifications to the policy. They included limiting the number of awardees that could be recognized in a given year, amending the term hero as it is currently in the policy to reflect community leaders, and establishing criteria that would aid in the evaluation of nominations. Proposed revisions were developed and presented to the CAC on October 13th, and the commission unanimously supported and recommended that council adopt the proposed revisions. The proposed revisions can be placed into 4 different categories. The first is a revision to the term hero, as noted in the report. It's proposed to be amended to identify a community leader whose contributions to the community provide valuable assistance that can inspire volunteerism and civic virtues. The second amendment ensures that while we want the award to maintain its significance and prominence, that we would limit the number of potential awardees in a given year. The proposed change would allow for a maximum of 1 individual and/or 1 organization to receive the award each year. So a maximum of 1 and 1 from both categories, but the presentation and the way that we would couch it would be ideally we would recognize just one individual or group, but there would be the opportunity if the merits of the nominations justified to award 1 of each category. Next, the policy language is proposed to be amended to clearly state that nominations must include information about the type and frequency of the specific community contribution, as well as its impact on the Port Hueneme community. That's noted in the policy and also in the application material. And then lastly, we took this opportunity to amend the policy's dates, given that we now have the Hueneme Beach Festival in July each year. The nomination period is now the calendar year, and nominations are due to be submitted by March 15th, following which CAC would review it at its regular meeting in April, and that would be followed by council review and final approval. That concludes the presentation of the amendments, and as a reminder, the recommendation is that the council approve the proposed amendments to the Heroes History and Heritage Policy, which would modify the annual Hueneme Hero Award section. Staff's available for questions or comments from the
Are
council.
there any questions? Any questions? Do you have any?
I had a question. So clarity on community leader, like the definition basically specifies a community leader whose contributions inspire volunteerism and civic virtues. Does this policy intend to exclude extraordinary single acts of heroism or non-traditional leaders, such as a bystander saving a life or public safety? Because it almost erases that.
So the language in the policy doesn't remove or omit existing language. It just adds to it by adding that definition that it would also allow for recognition of community leaders. But it still does allow for recognition of individuals and organizations that make extraordinary contributions associated with, and there's several categories, one of which is public safety. So it would allow for the recognition of an individual in that case.
Last question. Actually, I have two more. So the one organization and one individual award, it almost now says it almost saying that we're going to issue two awards, one or the other, right? And so does it water down the award is my question to the council, because now if there's one community and say 3 individuals, it almost seems like we're going to give one to the community or the organization, and then either we're going to pick one from the 3. So how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, so I think that's why we're here, right?
Right.
Because of last year, we felt that, I think we felt that 3 was too many for the Hero Award. And I think the one thing that I, personally for me, is exactly what you said. Does that start to water down the real value of the Hero Award? And so I think that's why we're having the conversation now. But for you, you made a statement earlier about the same thing. You made a statement that the preference, I'm summarizing because I don't know exactly what you said, but you were saying that the preference is to have one, but this opens it up for the possibility. I think it's important to say, I guess let me ask the question. What are your thoughts about what I just said? Is it really one?
So staff's certainly able to receive the council direction if we want to be more specific. The language currently says no more than one group and or one organization. In the presentation to CAC, it was stated that the intent and the proposal would be that they select or they recommend one nominee for the council, but there would be the opportunity if there was a particular year where there was an organization and an individual that just exceeded expectations and really embodied the spirit of the award, that one of each could be recognized. So the policy allows for it, but the default and standard expectation would be one awardee. If council wishes to modify that and have language that limits it to only one in a given year, we can certainly make that amendment. The past practice before last year when we had 3, we had occasions where there was one organization and one individual that was nominated. And those years, it did not seem as though that was a concern. That's why we allowed for the flexibility of that award process. But again, if council would prefer to limit it to only one or a maximum of one of either, we can make that modification.
Can I add
Yes.
to just quickly that I know that the council, when this topic came forward and the council gave the direction to the CAC, I think there was pretty clear consensus that the council really wanted to try to limit it to one to keep it special. And so, then we went to CAC and they agreed, but kind of wanted to leave the door open for 2 if needed. I think one thing that can be done is pretty simply by changing one word, no more than one individual, and instead of and or, just say or one organization may receive the award in a given year. Council can sort of put that limit that it be one, and if there's truly a special circumstance and a really good explanation, the CAC can still make that recommendation to the council, and the council can consider that, really special circumstance. But I don't think the door needs to be left wide open. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I get why the thought is there, and it's always like, well, what if? But I think it can be limited with and if the what if happens, then the council can consider that. So, so that would be one idea. But this is the CAC's recommendation based on, like I said, the thought process. I think that they don't want to block the ability to do that if it really is a good opportunity, but there's other ways that can be done. So.
I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
So-
Councilmember Perez.
So I think leaving it the way the CAC presented to us, because I think they understand what they're giving us. And I know that not every year an entity or an organization is nominated, And I think last year was the first time really ever that an organization was actually nominated, if I remember correctly. And I think that putting the parameters that it has to be an extraordinary organization doing great things in our community, I think they can pretty much figure that out and leave it up to them to give us the information, and we can decide at that point after that. It's not like we have to accept everything that they give us. That's why it's our final review. It's just a recommendation.
Yeah. And I would be good, okay, so let me stop talking. We're at questions.
Yeah, I
So,
still have a question.
I don't want to get too deep. If you got a
So
question.
it's, I guess, the examples of measurable community impact. If I'm an individual and I have, you know, if, let's just say this individual had 100 hours of volunteer work and he was an individual, so if I was an organization and, you know, if they didn't meet the measurables that this individual did, it almost still seems like we're going to issue 2 awards because it's the and/or.
Let's go back to questions real quick. Let's just ask questions. Let's go through that process because we may have public comments and we don't want to get too far before we allow that.
So I would, if I may, sorry.
Wait a second. Are you finished with
Well, I think we
your
should,
question? Go ahead.
the question is, there should be a provision in there for a no award. If no one meets the council reserves the right to not select an award recipient for a qualifying year.
Okay. Is there another question? You have a question?
To the city manager, I would like to know your view. What is your view on granting awards like this in your professional experience? Is it better to force a decision to one, or should we recommend an individual and an organization? And do you think at some point we're going to run out of nominations?
Yeah, smart answer would be this is a council policy decision, and I have no comment or no opinion.
Okay, so
But I will just say I do think that the challenge is, you know, if we have 2 or 3 applicants or, you know, nominees a year, and I'm not saying this was the case this year, but just in the future, approving 3, you start to kind of run out of, you know, nominees quicker than you would otherwise. So it seems like having 1 hero a year or 1 hero a year and keeping it really special and knowing that just because somebody didn't get it this year doesn't mean that they're not going to get it next year, I think it would be a good practice. So.
okay, so let's go. Public comments?
There are no public comments.
Great. So I like the wording. I think that, since we're in comments now, I think that having it an individual or a team would work okay, knowing that the CAC, if they can't come up with it, then they'll provide us their top folks anyway, and then we'll have to make the decision. I think ultimately we're going to have to make the decision, but if we ask them to pick one individual or one team, and if they can't do that, then they can kick it over to us and we'll have to do it.
I think that's what kind of happened this last year, and then we approved 3.
Yes, but see, we have to be able to not approve 3.
Right, so so are you suggesting a motion to
No, we're just having discussion.
either an individual or an organization?
Yes.
Is that what you're
Yes.
suggesting?
Right, and if they can't come up with it, then they'll kick us what they have that they can't, you know, if they have 2 and they can't really decide, they'll have to kick 2 to us and we'll have to decide.
One or the other?
Yes.
Well, that's not what it says.
That's why I said it should say, I would like it if it said one individual or, not the and, take the and out,
I agree with that.
or one organization.
And the and can be removed by
And
council.
the and can be removed, yes. So that's what my suggestion
I
is.
think it's already out in
No,
the cross out.
It's in currently. It still says and or. It's on page 18 of 28.
I'm looking at 9
Red
of
line.
28.
Okay.
Depends what
It says an individual or organization. On 9.
That's the definition of hero is an individual organization, but on pages 18 and 19 of the report,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I move that we remove the word and be one individual or one organization.
So I'm back to maybe amending section 5.1.5 to state that the city council reserves the right to not select an award recipient if the quality of the nomination does not meet the extraordinary standard that is governed by this ordinance. Thoughts?
Where's that at again?
No, I'm
Proposed to be added.
proposed to add amended 5.1.5. That's mine. That's my
Okay, I'm
write-up.
just looking at it. I'm okay with the adjustment, but it's not, I mean, we get to decide, so.
Mayor?
So do we have to say that we get to decide, or it's a given that we decide?
Yeah, it's always gonna be, so it's always gonna be the council's choice ultimately, whether to recognize and all that. So you don't have to say it, but you could say it.
Can I have a clarification? It's going to be the council's choice to give it to an organization and an individual, or, because if we're,
It's ultimately the council's choice to do anything. And so if the
that's what, but
if the CAC said we like 5 groups this year and the council could decide to honor 5 people, 4 people, 3 people, 2 people.
But I
1
think
person,
our-
none of
but-
Or zero.
Yeah.
But aren't
yeah.
we trying to avoid that situation?
Yeah.
We're trying to nominate an organization or an individual that set the high bar
Yeah.
for
And I
this,
think-
for the current year.
I think based on what we heard when council sent this to the CAC, what we heard from the council was we want to try to keep it special. And I think keeping it special could be, probably is limiting it, and could be to the point of Mayor Pro Tem Lopez could be saying that, and if nobody meets the qualifications, then we aren't going to give an award this year. So, but you don't have to say it, but that could be, you could say that.
So as it stands right now, we have a motion.
So let's do 2 things. Can we first, I'll make a motion that we take the word "and" out, and the recipient can be either an individual or an organization. That's my first motion.
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
I'll go ahead and motion, so it's passed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Motion still passes with Councilmember Perez saying no.
Great, thank you so much. So we're going to take the word "and" out. And so what is the next step? Did you have sound like you were saying something about who decides?
No, we resolved it.
Okay, and so I think your comment was about if the CAC brings us more than one, right, then we get to decide. And at that point,
Does the
Wait.
motion address what the CAC's task is?
no, that was just a motion on, do we want one person, either an
Okay.
individual or an organization?
So we don't have to take any other action.
You don't have to. I think there was a second proposed item, though, which was the consideration of whether to add a no award
5.1.5.
could be given.
Well, I'm not gonna propose it because I think we can actually, in the council.
It's implied.
It's implied.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So the only thing then is, so we approved that change, but we still need the approval of all the other CAC recommendations, right? There's 4 recommendations.
Okay, thank you, I'll go back.
Am I right? So I guess to keep it simple, it could be a motion to approve the CAC's recommendation with that modification that council just made to
Move.
the and/or.
Move to approve CAC recommendation with the modification approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay,
I think that's it.
thank you so much for your report. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 9. A council request for information to consider a landlord harassment ordinance. Staff, can we just take a 2-minute, 3-minute break?
Sure.
And then we're going to go to number 9, the council request for information for the harassment ordinance. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay.
With item number 9, the council request for information to consider a landlord harassment ordinance. Will staff please present the report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have a short report and a very short presentation on this item. This was a request from council for the council to be able to consider a landlord harassment ordinance. So in alignment with our council policy on future agenda items, we don't typically do a full analysis of items prior to the council directing staff to work on an item. So we have not drafted an ordinance or done substantial research at this time. We provided some basic information, and we wanted to provide a little bit of additional basic information. Essentially, without doing much, spending much staff time or resources, we did two things. That was that one was mentioned that Oxnard had just adopted a landlord harassment ordinance, so we very simply went on their website, grabbed what they had adopted, and included that as an attachment. and then noted a basic summary of what was, what they proposed, and then what their estimated fiscal impact was for their program. So that's what's included in the staff report, and I'll provide a little bit, just very quickly on that now for just as background. And so on, as mentioned, this was a council request, brief report being provided. The staff report included some basic information about current state law. California Civil Code already includes some state protections, including prohibiting interference with the tenant's peaceful enjoyment of property, prohibiting using threats, intimidation, retaliation, or fraud to evict or force a tenant out of a property, prohibiting entry without proper notice, prohibiting retaliatory actions after reporting health or habitability concerns, and prohibiting tenants, or allowing tenants to directly pursue civil action for violations. And so Oxnard, and then we did find when Oxnard adopted, they noted that I think they had modeled off of Santa Monica, Oakland, and LA, who also have adopted their own ordinances. So Oxnard had adopted an ordinance that allows city-level enforcement beyond state law, defines specific prohibited behaviors, creates local penalties, fines, and investigative authority. We did find, just doing quick research, that typically the cities that have done these types of ordinance are large cities. And I think we received a comment that referenced Oxnard being, their budget being, I think somebody said 10 times our budget, but it's actually more than that. I think they're 20 or 30 times our budget at this point, our general fund budget. And so larger cities have done these things. We did not find examples of other small or medium cities that have pursued city-level enforcement of these ordinances beyond state law due to the staffing needs, costs, and private party nature of disputes, which result in potentially using taxpayer dollars on private disputes between community members. Those are all issues that have been identified as concerns. And so just as some background, because the Oxnard ordinance was referenced, we wanted to include the example of their ordinance. Their ordinance was adopted in April of this year and prohibits actions such as reducing essential services or failing to complete repairs, improper or excessive unit entries, misrepresentation or coercion to vacate, threats, retaliation, discrimination, and privacy violations, and refusing lawful rent payments or disturbing a tenant's occupancy. They included their own penalties, including misdemeanor charges, civil damages with the minimum of $10,000, and additional damages for seniors or disabled tenants, and injunctive relief. As I mentioned, just in the Oxnard staff report and in the interviews that Oxnard gave after adopting the ordinance, they talked about how they would plan to implement such a program. Their proposal was going to be, I don't know if it's done yet at this point, but was going to be essentially hiring a city attorney who would be partially dedicated to this role, and an investigator. So they estimated that the cost would be $500,000 for that purpose. We've talked about this a lot this year, but we are currently working to address a deficit, and so if a $600,000 deficit. So if an ordinance or program is desired, depending on what is requested, we would need to return to council with an ordinance, but also with an item to identify funding offsets or additional reductions to fund that project or that program. And then we wanted to highlight as a reminder that existing community resources like Interface 211 do provide assistance, and there are tenants' rights groups and referrals. And so as there was one of the comments mentioned that that there's educational opportunities out there, so educating community members on the availability of those resources would be another opportunity. The last thing, because I'm not the expert on all things housing, we wanted to ask our, and let me say this, and so I have not personally received any complaints related to landlord harassment within the city of Port Hueneme, but I didn't want to just say that statement as a blanket statement without having our department involved. provide any information. So I have asked our housing director, Gabby Basua, to just come and speak about what they do here in our housing department and what kind of complaints we get and how we help people. So I've asked Gabby to come just speak briefly to that.
Good evening, council members. I am just going to give you a quick overview of the things that we see in the Housing Authority. As you know, the Housing Authority does have Section 8 vouchers. We also manage 90 units, plus we manage the City Housing Surplus Authority, along with the housing successor. So along with that comes a lot of property management. I can speak both on the tenant side and the landlord side because within my department, we actually hold both hats. So we, in the Section 8 program specifically, we advocate for our tenants. Been doing this for about 22 years here at the City of Hueneme. We definitely have a very different clientele than what we have in Oxnard. Our landlords specifically tend to be very responsive. I have had in my 22 years banned 2 slumlord landlords from participating in the Section 8 program, only because they are extremely hard to work with, don't want to follow regulation. And in my 22 years, we have done that twice. I find that our landlords, with some education as far as what California law pertains to, not only that, but federal law, they tend to be very receptive to what the agency is saying. Specifically, what I see most of is that 10% increase in rents. It was an educational campaign that we did in order to let our landlords know, and we continuously do that all the time. Some of our landlords want more than 10%. We go ahead and we send letters out. We let them know we can't do this, and we tell them why. They're very receptive. As far as City of Hueneme residents coming to the Housing Authority requesting resources, we do get some. We don't get them often, but we do. In that case, there are resources that we go ahead and provide to them. The Housing Rights Center, the County of Ventura, as part of one of their initiatives, they also support the City of Hueneme along with Camarillo and anything in area housing. They provide actual classes to my staff and have landlord and tenant participation where it's either twice or 3 times a year. I actually just got the email from them about a week ago asking what dates, would be helpful for my staff to attend training. So we do have those resources available. I really haven't seen, much outreach as far as our residents reaching out for assistance. It's been very minimal, and like I said, the landlords, at least the ones that we've been dealing with, except the 2, seem to be pretty receptive. And of course, my staff and myself are always here to assist with any questions or concerns. So, I would really encourage any residents that have any concerns to contact my office, and we can definitely try to assist that way. And I'm available to answer any of your questions that you may have.
Great. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you so much for being here tonight, because I did have questions for you as far as frequency of complaints that you might encounter. What about statistics? Are you required in any way to maintain stats on the number of landlord-tenant disputes or harassment cases, anything like that on any of your reporting? Because I couldn't find anything online.
No, we do not have that information available. We, as far as the Housing Authority, when it comes to our relationships with the landlords and our participants, we work with them. We want to be that middle ground. So we always tell our landlords, if you have any issues with your tenant, please come to us. We will work as your property management group, because my priority is to house. That's what my office does. We house. We never want to take housing away from anybody. So if we can be that middle ground and work both with the tenant and the landlord to come to a resolution, when it comes to our participants, that's exactly what we do.
So one more question. So an individual who doesn't fall under the city's housing authority umbrella has a issue with their landlord, wants to file a complaint, what's the avenue that they should go? How would they proceed with that?
Well, they're always welcome to come and talk to somebody at the housing authority. We will go ahead and we will go ahead and give them that number to the Housing Rights Center. I find that the Housing Rights Center, you leave a message, they will contact you back. If it's a case that they can prove, they will take it on. You know, they go ahead and triage those cases through.
Thank you.
If a property management company or your offices, if there's a developing issue between a landlord and a tenant, either way, maybe the tenant's misbehaving, maybe the landlord's misbehaving, you would intervene to try and resolve the issue, right? I mean, that's the goal, is
Yes, if it's a client of the housing authority, the goal is to resolve the issue. And many times, both ways. It's usually a 50-50. We either have, you know, the landlord is out of place, we will let them know, we will let them know what the consequences are, which is they're not, you know, a landlord can get sued and has a lot to lose.
right.
But sometimes the tenants, you know, they're not a right fit. You know, so what we don't want is we don't want those lease violations to continue.
Right.
Because a lease violation is a reason for termination. So what we try to do really hard is to work with that tenant and that landlord to resolve those issues. And if we're not able, my staff then has to find another place for the resident to go. Because if it goes down to eviction, that resident, that tenant of ours, loses their voucher. And we don't ever want that to happen. So we always want to be the middleman when it comes to our clients.
So you would refer, if your tenant is just not understanding what the issue is, you probably would refer them to one of these organizations to help them get a better understanding of what their responsibilities are?
No, that is done in-house.
That's done in-house.
If it is done, if it's our clients that we house, we do that counseling in-house.
Okay.
We work with that tenant in order to give them other resources for them to find a suitable place to live.
Do you and your staff have to go to training?
Yes, we do training about twice a year.
So
Our laws are currently changing. We subscribe to the newsletters. We have changes all the time happening in California, so we have to go to training.
So when you go to these trainings, are you in trainings with property management companies, or is it just city housing people?
City housing people.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so currently we're staffed to take on complaints from tenants.
From the housing authority / housing clients that we have.
And,
Yes.
And over the last 2 years, how many complaints, just out of memory, do you think that we've had?
From my personal office, we get about 1 or 2 a month.
And you resolve most of those?
We resolve most of them, yes. We have, I can actually say that I am very, very happy with my staff. They understand that our number one priority is to house. Regardless of who's right and who's wrong, we want to make sure that that family stays housed. So we are very successful in that.
have you taken a landlord to court?
No,
So it's been resolved prior
it's
to?
been resolved, yes.
So that's all I got.
I have a question.
Great. Councilmember Perez.
With all your experience and years in the city and your ear to the ground in terms of housing and landlords, do you think we have an issue in the city that requires a harassment ordinance?
I have not seen, at least in the last 5 to 7 years, I have not received a complaint about harassment. I've received complaints about rents. Rents are skyrocketed, and just like any landlords, they want their money. So, and a lot of them, are mom and pop shops. They don't, they're not up to date on law, so we have to just educate them. I haven't received a harassment complaint.
I have another question. Just
Can I ask a question, then we'll come back to you?
Oh, sure.
You've asked. Yeah, so do you have any knowledge about anything, any events or any kind of issues outside of the Housing Authority?
No.
Okay. Okay, great.
so we're asking you to hold this crystal ball, I guess, and tell us what the future is going to be. My question is, do you, knowing that you keep abreast of trends, housing trends and things that are happening out in the community, where do you think that this is going to become an issue in the next 5-10 years? Do you see anything coming down the road that would cause us to want to have this ordinance in place?
I can tell you this. I'm a huge proponent for low-income housing, for tenant rights. I'm huge. Whether I'm here or doing something else, I'm a huge. I can honestly say that if I saw a problem, I'd be the first one to come to the city manager and let him know we have a problem. Because it's so important to me that people understand what their rights are and that landlords do not take advantage of the most vulnerable population in our community. And if I will be that voice for the residents of Port Hueneme, and if I see it, I can tell you here with my heart in my hands that I would come to you. And it doesn't stop my agency from, and my staff from trying to assist those that we do, that are not our clients. And I'm a huge advocate. I'm a huge advocate, especially for those that don't have voices. So, and I've been here for 22 years, and I would be the first one.
Okay, great, thank you, thank you. Any other questions?
I have comments.
Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, and I want to note for the record that the written public comments received were for this item. Our first public comment is from Stephen Leclerc.
Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for your time, and thank you for asking for this item to come before council. When I look at this issue, I think about how for too long this city's been left behind in this conversation about tenant protections, and how can we be a good place to live for the majority of our residents who are renters. And that might look like this ordinance, and it might look like future items. I want you to think creatively about this. The staff report gave you one perspective, and I will say, I think you all are more creative than the one solution that was given, which was $500,000. Of course, any program wouldn't cost the same amount as Oxnard. And so I hope in the future, when you request future agenda items, you set an expectation that a variety of options are given. That doesn't mean you have to do a comprehensive analysis, but come on, $500,000, that's not a realistic staff report to provide to you all. What is realistic is to talk about how can you promote what's currently available to renters in the community? How can you utilize the resources you already spend money on, like newsletters and social media outlets, to say, did you know, here are new state laws coming into effect? Did you know in January the new tenant law will come into effect that landlords must provide refrigerators and rental units? Most people don't know that, but that's something this community, this city could be communicating out that does not cost $500,000. Highlighting the county resources that are available. Even the Housing Authority, and I enjoy Gabby and I appreciate her contributions. I don't entirely understand all of the questions that were framed for her. I would have never, and I've lived here for 10 years and involved in government, referred people to the Housing Authority for general population questions about rental concerns. It's simply asking her to answer questions that I don't know where those data points would come from, other than anecdotal. So I appreciate her perspective, but again, I've been a renter in this community for 10 years. I would have never referred somebody to the city if they weren't a client of the city. But perhaps that's a resource that is available. They shared it tonight. So perhaps that's something else that could be shared. So again, be creative. You all are investing in many things. Doesn't need to look like $500,000. And don't let the city be left behind. Whether it's this item or in the future, pressure will build on this council to take action to protect renters. And also think about housing safety. That's how I phrase this, renter safety and community safety broadly. We know with increased immigration enforcement and the downturn in the economy, between foreclosures and other things that will be facing our community, this council will have to deal with housing issues. So perhaps having a presentation from this housing nonprofit about what's happening out there, just an information for you all to know what's happening in your community. Finally, when I think about this issue, I just hope our residents aren't more protected going across the street and renting there than here. This is a better city than that. Thank you, and please be creative. Thank you, and thank you to the staff.
Thank you.
I did not receive any additional public comment cards, therefore public comments, there are no additional public comments.
Great, thank you. So are they, okay, let me find where I am. So our recommendation is to receive and file this information regarding landlord harassment ordinance requested at the August 18th, 2025 meeting and provide direction as desired. Is there any direction that council would like to add to the motion?
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
To the residents who may be watching and people who are here, we received a public comment that none of you have heard. I don't even know if anyone have read it. And it alleges a number of things. And the person who wrote this comment is not here. And I just want to read one part of the comment. It says, since speaking during public comment to request that this item be considered, I have been illegally and retaliatorily evicted from Park Madera in Port Hueneme. That's not true. This person was provided due process, went through the system, and the court found not in his favor. So, you know, I think due process goes both ways. I think there's good landlords and there's good tenants, and every now and then there may be the opposite of good. And the state, the county has a system to deal with these disputes. And so I just wanted to point that out, that the person made a complaint, was provided due process, and here we are discussing whether or not we need to have an ordinance for harassment. And so, and I did today, I was intrigued by some of the things that were stated, and so I contacted the property management company, and I asked several questions similar to what we just asked of our housing director. And, you know, the responses I got were very similar to what we heard here. People are trained, people are very aware. Property management companies are in the business to provide housing, just like our housing authority is. And when issues develop between a landlord and a tenant, they try to minimize that by referring people to get help. And I think by and large that the tenants have a system that's built to protect them. So that's my comment.
Okay, so again, are there any directions or desires that the council has that they would like to add to this before we make a motion? Did you have something?
I did, I had a comment, I
Go right
think,
ahead.
which will lead to some direction.
Okay, so generally speaking, we would do the motion in a second so that we bring it on the board so we can discuss it, but we'll just take a few minutes if you want to add something. So the discussion is really about that second part. Is there anything, any guidance that you want to provide in the motion?
Right.
So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I would recommend city council direct staff to conduct a comprehensive analysis and report back to two main items. A local need. Is there a local need for this? And we can kick this over to Wainimi Housing Inc. I believe we can use much of that nonprofit to see in the next 6 months if there is a need for an ordinance. One. Also, know your rights. VCAR does an excellent job training our residents on knowing your rights. And I think that this could be, we need to put this on a schedule, and then any state laws that are new, just like Mr. Enclair said, landlords are supposed to provide refrigerators. There's always changes to state laws. So I think we need to have a rotational training. And so for me, I have those two things: a local need that can be kicked to housing, our Wainimi Housing Inc., and training for our residents.
Okay, did you have something to add?
I did have something.
Go ahead.
I think you misunderstood what I was trying to do here, because I don't want to just throw this out without prefacing that with some comments. So just to go back a little bit to this report, there were some references in here in the report that this was a council request. And this, in fact, was a constituent request that came to me. And so I appreciate the opportunity to have discussed this here tonight, because I learned a lot. And as a city council member, I feel it's my role to be helpful to residents who approach me, not only to listen to them and to hear their issues, whether they're true or not, but to help them navigate the system, whether it's referring them to staff to get assistance or referring them to other resources that are available to them. In this case, the individual specifically asked me to help him get this on the agenda. So that's why it's here. It's a constituent request. And I feel that's our role to do. And in doing that, my expectation for staff is that this isn't a request for a review of our ordinances. Do we have anything, the question is, do we have anything on the books already that would help address this issue? If not, what are other cities doing? Let's look at other examples. What are the pros, what are the cons of perhaps using the other city information to develop our own ordinance? Is it, here, let me start again. So we have an issue. How does it affect the city? Where can we get some direction on how to perhaps implement it? What are the pros and the cons? And then the staff recommendation. So that's really what I was looking for.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Councilmember Perez?
Can I
Go
respond
ahead,
to
sorry about that.
So just, so we just created that new future agenda item process to really stop kind of, these kinds of misunderstandings and issues.
Yeah.
Because, so that would be, this is the opportunity to now do that. And so the first review was, just the basic information and the explanation of, the request was this, so now it's on the agenda so you can talk about it and what direction do you want to give. So, so I just want to be clear on that. And now we have our new, this was requested before the new future agenda item request, so that's why we created that process where now it really spells out exactly what the request is. So I just wanted to explain that. as sort of the process and
Yep.
how we're changing things moving forward.
Great. So a couple of things. So this was a receive and file, but the recommendation gave us an opportunity to say if we want staff to do something, right? So is there a motion and a second for an action? I know, Mayor Pro Tem, you meant. Yeah, you made a motion, you did, but we hadn't finished kind of going through, but go ahead and make that motion clear. And you said two different things.
Well,
So-
there's, the motion is this, I recommend that the city staff with the city attorney conduct a comprehensive analysis and report back on two things: local needs, and if this can be taken to Wainimi Inc.
Okay.
What is the
Oh.
deliverable?
The deliverable is there a need? A, is there a need for this? And then two, we need to implement training to our residents on Know Your Rights.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to do something for me. Will you make your motion two separate motions? Because,
Because I'll do them one at a time.
yeah, thank you.
I recommend city staff I make a motion to direct city staff to conduct a comprehensive analysis and report a local need assessment via Wainimi Inc. and report back in 6 months.
Is there a second to that motion?
I want to go beyond Wainimi Inc. I don't want it just to be limited to the clients. I want it, if you say comprehensive, it's got to be citywide.
So do you have an amended motion?
Yeah, I'd like to amend the motion that it,
Go ahead.
so that it includes, yes, I'd like to ask for an amendment to that motion to include, we have to include all residents, all renters in the city, not just the clients of Wainimi Inc. Would
Yeah.
you be open to that?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there a discussion?
Yes. So, first of all, none of this is going to be free. We are not in a financial position to create, implement, or enforce a new ordinance, something that's going to cause our city to have to enforce. And the suggestion that our police officers or police department's going to have to help enforce is ridiculous. But there is not a need. There's been one individual does not make for an ordinance. That's not
That's not what
We're not asking for an ordinance.
No, there has been one person complaining about this, and now there's an issue, somebody wanting an ordinance created for it. That's the process of this. One person has complained in many years of the city, and now we're talking about creating an ordinance based around one person's complaint that we don't even know if it's valid or not.
I'd like to,
Ordinances are, I'm not finished, but ordinances are expensive. So we don't have a need. We heard our housing authority just talk about who's the expert in the area and who would know whether we have an issue. It's been here 23 years. There's never been a need for this. And having our attorney get involved in assessing whether there's needs, that's going to cost money as well. None of this is going to be free. So do we really want to put money for something that,
Well, I don't think we're talking about ordinance. We're talking about a need.
no, she's talking about an ordinance. That's why this is on agenda, to discuss whether we want to create
No,
an
we're
ordinance.
talking about reporting back in 6 months to see if there is even a need for an ordinance. That's
Yes,
what we're,
but you're asking the city attorney to get involved.
asking for a
which
survey.
Which is not free. The city attorney is not free. So you want the city attorney to get involved in conducting this, you said.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion that's any different than what we're doing right now? If there's not, Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
I would like to
Oh.
make a comment.
Okay.
The problem I have with this is that
Okay, so,
we're in discussion,
okay,
correct?
go ahead, yeah.
The problem I have with this is that as a council, we are now looking to investigate complaints. No, that's not why we're here. The system in this case worked, albeit it didn't work to the satisfaction of the complainant, but the system worked. He was afforded his due process, and in the end, he was legally evicted. So I just have a problem when people make a complaint and they don't tell the truth. And so here we are discussing whether to take action that is going to cost money. And, you know, so what are we willing to cut to make room for this? I don't think it's necessary, and I would vote no if I.
Okay, so I just want to say this in this forum. So if you receive the public comment has been posted if it came before 3 o'clock. But let not us on the dais speak about our residents, okay? They have public comments, and when they make public comments, we can't even ask them questions.
We can in this case.
They're not here. What do you mean we can in this case? All I'm saying is.
The item is on the agenda, so here's his comment. So yeah, we could discuss his comment.
No, we should not be discussing his
Wait,
comment.
I'd like to ask the city attorney on that.
Well, you can discuss his comment. I don't know. Sorry. I mean, you can discuss the comment as you would if someone was presenting in front of you. So.
Right, because it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to be sure because we're actually talking about an individual resident, and that just doesn't seem like we should be talking about a resident.
Yes, we'll stay away from that. That's your decision.
Okay,
However, it's acceptable to discuss.
Okay, all right. Hold on, just go ahead.
Okay, I just think there's a misunderstanding on what this motion is asking for, and I think we're asking for an analysis to describe what the landscape looks like out there in our city when it comes to renters. We have over 52% renters in our city. How are they being served? And are there any gaps that we need to address? One perhaps is training.
Okay.
I don't think we're moving necessarily toward an ordinance. Maybe we do discover through this analysis that an ordinance is needed. Maybe we don't, but let's get a good picture of what that landscape, that housing landscape, the renters landscape looks like for our city.
What would a survey cost the city?
If we did a survey ourselves, and it could be done fairly, not anything, extreme, probably, trying to calculate very quickly, probably, I would say $2,000 is an estimate.
So, okay, so you have the motion, that was seconded. Can you please make your comment that you just made? Because we're working on your motion.
When I discussed amending the motion, I'm thinking of an analysis, just a staff report, the staff doing an analysis on our city's renters profile and where there might be gaps and needs. I didn't think it would include a survey. So I don't know if that's what you thought, Jess, but.
Well, I was thinking that in 6 months, Housing Inc. could report back to see if there was how many complaints did we have from tenants?
But
and
how,
two, is there a need for any additional training?
Housing Inc. doesn't deal with the group of renters.
She just said
No.
that there.
Hold on.
No.
She said that there were.
Hold on,
They
Jess.
take.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Housing Inc. only deals with the clients of the housing authority.
I understand, but she also said
This
Hold on.
ordinance, or this discussion, is dealing with all the other renters in our community.
Okay, you must have not paid attention to her because she said that she would be able to help individuals not on Section 8, and she would direct them. It's exactly what she said.
I think the thought process is that if there are any housing complaints that we receive, they get routed through the housing department. And so if there's a department that's going to have those statistics, it's going to be the housing department. So I think that's the thought process. That the housing department would be able to, over 6 months, provide a report on, or, an analysis of what complaints they get and what the needs or even, tools that we have would be to address those.
Okay, so let me ask a question, since you said that, city manager. to date, has the city received any complaints?
Not, not specific to landlord harassment. And I
Okay.
think that's something I did want to clarify is our housing director mentioned that they receive complaints related to housing, you know, which could include anything, or, you know, the whole gambit. They receive complaints monthly, but we have, I haven't received any landlord harassment complaints, and I believe the housing director also confirmed that they have not received any housing complaints in the last several years.
Okay. And if we were to do an analysis, where would the city get the information from?
It would just be an update to that. So in 6 months, we'd bring back a report saying we have or have not received any verified complaints.
Okay. So that is the level of analysis that's being discussed here. Because I think that's a question, because I think there is maybe, it seems like there's some different definitions of what analysis means to individuals.
Oh, no,
So-
I just heard that city attorney being involved, so that to me meant.
It was
a different
amended.
level.
My motion was amended.
Okay. So, Councilmember Hernandez, when you say analysis, what do you mean by that?
I would like to see a description of what our city renter profile looks like, you know, who comprises this 52% of renters. What they, I mean, what they bring to our economy perhaps, what issues that they face, where they go to get information, what resources are available, and then, yes, do we have a history of complaints? And what are those complaints?
Okay.
A little bit more than I think.
So can I ask you to rescind your motion? Can I ask you to rescind your motion?
Sure,
Because
'cause-
that is not, I don't think that's the path that we're on. Or we can go down and just take a vote and let it pass or fail.
Could take a vote on it.
Let's go ahead and take a vote on your original.
Okay, can you restate what that motion is?
Yeah, I think it's to perform an analysis, and with your clarification you just added, that included those items, a needs assessment, description of renter profile, economic issues, and where renters go for information. So the motion would be to prepare an analysis with that information and return to council.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay.
I'll go down the line.
Yeah, can you take an individual vote,
Yes.
please?
Councilmember Gama, Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Perez,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez,
Yes.
and Mayor McQueen Lejeune.
No.
Motion fails.
I have another motion, if I may. I move that we receive the report, and then I would like the staff to go back and take a look and bring us the information that we need to be able to determine if there's in fact harassment in our city. I don't want to tell you how to do that. I just want you to go figure it out.
Okay.
Okay? That's my motion.
It's probably a good motion because I don't know how to figure that out yet, so it's going to take some time.
So that's my motion. You second? Any discussion, any further discussion?
I'll take a roll call vote again.
Yes, please do that.
Councilmember Gama? No. Councilmember Hernandez?
No.
Councilmember Perez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez?
Yes.
And Mayor McQueen Lejeune.
Yes,
The motion passes with Councilmember Gama and Councilmember Hernandez saying no.
thank you. All right. All right, we're going to move to item number 10, future agenda item request. And we have one item submitted by our Mayor Pro Tem, presentation by Ventura County Public Works on stormwater runoff and how all agencies involved in water runoff collaborate interagency, staff time cost estimate, staff time for coordination and facilitation of presentation. There is no cost associated with this presentation. We'll now go to Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, so the way our stormwater runoff exits to the beaches, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's very clear talking to residents on who owns what, where the water exits, how water exits Bubbling Springs, and so forth. So this motion is just basically informational, it's an informational presentation. Basically, this aims to clarify two critical components: physical infrastructure and engineering, basically detailed illustrations on how the drainage system is physically engineered, covering the flow of water from street inlets through the Ventura County channels and out to the ocean discharge points. Interagency collaboration, what agencies are involved with, you know, because they do cross into city, NBVC, the port, explicit what the multi-jurisdictional framework and how various agencies, including our own public works, county flood control districts, Port Hueneme, relevant regulatory bodies work together to ensure adequate and compliant water conveyance. This session will promote informal governance and public awareness regarding the complex framework and infrastructure essential for flood control and environmental compliance in Port Hueneme.
I would
Great.
second.
No questions?
I have a question.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, hold on.
Wait a minute. Point of order here. I mean, this is the first time that we've had, that I've been part of a discussion on an agenda, future agenda item, and I think there are some limitations on what we can, on discussing the merits of an agenda item. So maybe the city attorney can help guide us on this, because I heard there was a 6-minute rule, and then I've heard that we can, from what I've read about, that you're not supposed to discuss the merits of a future agenda item. And if we're going to get into a discussion, we're going to discuss the merits. So how did you guys resolve that last time?
As we previously discussed, the reason why we have the process is to put it on the agenda so that we can ask questions. That's the process. It's an agenda item, so we can ask questions about it. That was the process that was established. Anybody have anything else to add?
That
No.
was the intent.
That was the intent.
Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Is it on our presentation schedule?
Yeah,
It
it's
is
an agenda
not,
item.
it is not on the presentation schedule that was just approved, but it's a good example of this is how items can be added and approved if
Right, and have we heard from, I thought we perhaps have heard from County Flood Control at some point in the past.
I thought we had them come present after the storms, but it's all a blur, and I think maybe we had them present at, maybe it wasn't a council meeting, maybe it was at like community meetings that we had.
No, James, remember, we're still waiting for that.
Oh, that's
I have
true.
a question.
That's what it actually was. It was, they presented at the elected officials briefing, I think, and then we're going to come present, and then that hadn't happened. So the estimate that we put together of where we say no costs associated is because the assumption is we're basically going to ask the county to come give a presentation, and our public works team, who already comes to these meetings, will be able to add in a couple points about what the city's role in that is, but the intent would be really be an opportunity for the county to come talk about the stormwater issues. So.
And the county does have a public relations campaign, which we've stolen from, and it says every litter bit matters. And so I'm interested in the county, educating the public on why it's important not to litter, keep it out of the storm drains and all that. Are you talking about a comprehensive presentation about everything, how it's interconnected? And because I will say this, if I could.
I just laid it out.
The amount of rain, rubbish, making it to the beach these days is far less than what it used to be, and I think that's a result of the county efforts of getting to the flood control channels before, and I think it's a good thing, so.
Great. Any questions?
I had a question about how this relates to the presentation schedule, and I don't want to go off in a different direction here, but I thought the presentation schedule is for routine presentations that we do every year. So I don't see this necessarily relating to the presentation schedule, because this seems like a specialized presentation that we won't be revisiting every year.
Yes, it's a special presentation, but what we're referring to was the question earlier was, could the council still add items as needed and as they come up? And so this is an example of, yes, the council can schedule presentations as needed.
Okay.
And we still would make sure that it doesn't exceed the 3, so we'd put it on a month. where
Yeah,
we-
we do our best to try to stick to that.
Just one thing, so I think it would be highly relevant to get it ASAP, being that the raining season is beginning. Is it,
Leave it up to staff to put
Yeah.
it on the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively easy, for us to get it on the agenda. The question here is going to be, the County Public Works team is actively working on these things, and so when do they have the time to come present too? So we'll try to do our best, but since it involves a few parties, it'll depend on some scheduling. So.
Okay, so we are, do we need to get a motion to approve that?
Yes.
Let's go ahead and get a motion to approve the presentations added to the presentation list.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you so much. We're going to now move to the city manager's comments and reports.
Thank you. And we have a few things we wanted to highlight, and starting with tomorrow, we have our holiday tree lighting celebration, and we just wanted to take the opportunity to remind everybody and invite everybody to attend the tree lighting celebration. We wanted to give everybody a little bit of information because it's going to look a little different from years past. People may have seen we added a pancake breakfast for children in our community, and so some of the things that we had done at the tree lighting are going to move over to that, and so we just wanted to be people to be prepared. The goal is we got feedback last year that there was a lot of people having to pick what they wanted to do because there were too many events and they had to wait in line for one thing and miss everything else. So we're trying to solve that, and so hopefully it works. But tomorrow, starting at 5:30, the merriment will begin, and then at 6 p.m. tree lighting, 6:15 holiday caroling and the Santa letters, and then 7 p.m. the event concludes. So that is what is planned tomorrow, and we're hoping everybody joins us for the tree lighting celebration. We also wanted to highlight the work that the Port Hueneme Police Explorers did this year in the turkey dinner giveaway. It was on Friday, November 21st. The Explorers hosted their annual turkey dinner giveaway this year, providing meals to more than 200 families in need during this holiday season. It's done through a partnership with our Port Hueneme Explorers, the Port Hueneme Police Officers Association, Hueneme Lions Club, Port of Hueneme, Lujan Transport, Vallarta Supermarket, and Oxnard Panthers Football Club. So we wanted to thank all those who volunteered, donated, and helped make this event the success it was. And then this was mentioned earlier, but we have our annual Santa Coming to Town tour of Port Hueneme. It's scheduled for Wednesday, December 10th, Friday, December 12th, and Monday, December 15th. The list of where they will be and when is included here and on our website. So anybody who is interested in participating can check that out and get hopefully a pretty accurate. Every once in a while, Santa will get stuck in one area a little longer than intended, but the list we try to be pretty accurate with where he'll be when, so everybody can participate. And then for December 15th, our next agenda, we wanted to highlight the items that are currently scheduled. We have the honoring and recognizing of the outgoing mayor, the honoring and recognizing of outgoing mayor pro tem, the election of mayor pro tem, and then we have a couple business items. One, like we mentioned earlier, is one of those annual reviews. It's our annual council policy and procedures review. Second, we are working on trying to put together a donation policy that had been requested a couple months back. And then finally is our annual review of the Port Hueneme Little League agreement that we started a new agreement process last year, and the annual review is up. So those are the items scheduled for December 15th, and that is everything I have.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to the council members' reports and comments. Council Member Perez.
I do not have any reports to give at this time.
Thank you. Councilmember Gama.
Yes, I attended a Ventura County Animal Services meeting, and we're in I don't want to say crisis, but it kind of is a crisis. We're continually overcrowded at the animal shelter. Just to give you an idea, total animals admitted are 686, and then pet adoptions are like 485. So we're moving in the wrong direction. We're at capacity. We have a new animal services director. I think he's wonderful, and he's beginning to target the Oxnard area because it is the biggest city in the county, and that's where most of the animals are coming from. And there seems to be a cultural divide, perhaps, where the spade and neutering isn't keeping pace with the amount of animals that are bringing into the community. So that has led to the creation of a mobile spade and neuter program that we're trying to get kicked off. It should be starting here very soon. And we have a tremendous amount of volunteers. We have a number of organizations that are called rescue partners. And so they're trying to help us accommodate the overcrowding by moving these animals out there, but we're still overcrowded. And it's just not a good thing for the animals. If you're an animal and you're in the dog pound, as they call it, it's very stressful, disease and all that. So we're asking everybody to help educate our community on the importance of spay and neutering, and hopefully that we could get these numbers under control. We even participate with transferring animals out of state when that is available to us, which is, again, something that is pretty crazy because we actually flew like 60 dogs 3 states away just to alleviate space, but it's not enough space. We had a Beacon meeting, and we reviewed the California Beach Resilient Plan being led by Dr. Patch and Dr. Lester. Dr. Patch from Cal State University, Channel Islands, and Dr. Lester is from UCSB. These are the two most recognized experts with regards to beaches and protection of the beaches. They've been very instrumental in helping Beacon get this understanding that every coastal zone is different. Everybody needs to focus on what is available to work there. There's some interesting things happening in Ventura. For years and years and years, we're waiting for the Matilaha Dam to come down. There's like almost $5 million cubic yards of sand being held behind that. And they just did a managed retreat at the Ventura Point. And so we're all waiting with great expectations when that dam, if that dam ever comes down, when it does come down, that the sand is going to do magic at the Ventura Point. But again, until the dam comes down, we won't be able to see the results of that. Sea level rise planning, Beacon is working to assist each of the members of Beacon with their sea level rise adaptation planning. And again, the details, the specifics for each region is really important to make sure that we understand. And so the Science Advisory Group is really working hard to educate everybody that beaches are systems and there's physical forces that shape beaches, and every beach is different. There's a whole lot more I could share with you, but I'll just leave it at that. One other thing is they're looking at beach usage as a social justice and like who's using the beaches, and they're focusing on cell phone data, which is a real great way to identify who's coming to the beach, what are they doing, why are they here, where are they coming from, and of course, with the end goal is to make sure that our beaches are there for the future. We're going to have possibly a 15% rate increase due to the needs of the organization. There's going to be 3 options, a 5, 10, or 15, but with the Sea Level Adaptation Plan Assistance Program, we're thinking that we're going to need to have possibly a 15% increase. to Beacon. So that's it.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Councilman Gama, for mentioning the presentation on the California Beach Resilience Plan presented at the last Beacon meeting. I watched the presentation as well, and I think one of the biggest takeaways of this beach resilience planning project is that it's statewide, and this group, Dr. Lester and Dr. Kiki Patch, are actually looking at the infrastructure and yes, all the differences along the coast, but what the end product will hopefully be a decision-making tool that we as locals, local coastal communities can use in assessing what options we have to prevent further coastal erosion and to address sea level rise. So I think it's a really exciting project they're working on, and I hope we can hear more about it because I think it'll be really helpful in developing a sea level rise plan for our city, which I hope we will do in the near future. I think there's actually, we're required to do one coming up in, I don't know, a few years. I forget the year. Anyway, I have a RDP meeting, strategic meeting Wednesday. I think I'm going to attend the Thursday meeting, the 7:30 meeting, now that I'm back in town. And I'll be, oh, wait a minute, I can't because I've got SCAG meetings all day on Thursday and then the CPA meeting, so I won't be able to do that. But other than that, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I reported this out, but I did attend the elected officials emergency training by Patrick Maynard, Director of Emergency Services, myself and Councilmember Perez. That was very good, informal training on emergency services. Thank you to the City Council for volunteering for the Salvation Army Red Kittle campaign last Saturday. That was pretty. It was fun. I had a good time talking to residents, and I really enjoyed that volunteer service. To the residents of Port Hueneme, happy Thanksgiving, and I hope the day was filled with gratitude, and thank you for your inspiration, Mayor. And that was it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, I did thank you for making the announcement about the Salvation Army. I did get an email today and said that we received $291.44 in donations.
Not bad.
And so thanks to you all for coming out. I really appreciate that. All I had to do was say it, and then you all showed up, so great, thank you. I, too, participated, I think most of us did, participated in the elected officials emergency training, which again was really, really good and very informative. I participated, got a chance to get out again to the Savvy Seniors event. It was nice to see Ashley there helping serve, so it was really good seeing her there. It was her first time, so I'm back to my monthly meetings. Let's see. Final comment is, so you all probably have heard that we did have our city port meeting. I think that was on the 19th. The port did decide not to approve any projects this year. I imagine the next steps would be our city manager getting with the port CEO and director to follow what the official next steps are, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from that. But that is all that I have.
I just wanted to make a pitch that if anybody is interested in fostering pets, your service is greatly needed. So basically what they do is to try and free up space at the animal shelter, people who are willing and able to foster care pets for a limited amount of time, please contact Ventura County Animal Services.
And I just realized I said Ashley, and not everybody may know who Ashley is, but she's our finance director, so yeah, it was good seeing her there. Anyway, so that is all that I have. If there isn't anything else, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Tonight, it's 9:26. The next meeting is scheduled for December 15th at 6:30.